Body, and thank you for tuning in once again to the African Reformer Movement channel, where we discuss everything African reform with an emphasis on Ghana. My name is Uche, as ever, I'm your host, and we are joined today again, as ever, by Dr. Nee. And we'll just be starting in just a minute. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I hope you spread the word after this particular broadcast and get your friends and family to join in. Dr. Nee has a number of social media platforms. As you can see them all here. Please feel free to connect with him on these platforms. Particularly pay attention to his website, sankofaafrica.com, where he writes a number of articles on a number of different subjects that specifically relate to Ghana, and some others relate to Africa as a whole. But they're very insightful, very useful. Please do check that out and make use of that resource. Also, Dr. Nee has a number of books at his Book Nook store. That's the information there. As I've mentioned before, Weep Not Africa, the Fifth Republic, and a whole host of other ones can be purchased at this store. So please do make use of that. Okay. So today, I believe it's actually today, it's exactly a year since we first started doing these broadcasts. And so Dr. Nee is going to be doing like a bit of a trip down memory lane of sorts and discussing other things as well, but just to show you what's happened in the year. And the title today is 1 Year of Progressive Revelation. So Dr. Nee, over to you and take us through your presentation.
Thank you very much, Uche. Thank you very, very much. And I honestly cannot thank you more. I got to know Uche, I think on the 14th of April last year. She was introduced to me by a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine called Pastor John, who is a pastor. And what happened? I told Pastor John last year that I want a way of penetrating the media space in Ghana. And whilst we were talking, he brought up the suggestion that something like this program could be helpful in trying to do what I want to do. And he suggested Uche to me. So I got in touch with Uche, and within 2 weeks we were on air. And we have not turned back since then. So first of all, I'll thank God Almighty, my friend Pastor John Don Pray, Lady Uche, and another lady you don't know, but she's always working behind the what do you call it, in the back room. Christy Asamoah. I thank them very, very much for this program. Of course, I thank Shika too, who stems in whenever Uche is not available. They made this program a success. When this program started, it was very difficult. I remember, I think the third or so episode, I invited 30 people and only one showed up. So I was quite upset. Not so much for myself, but I was upset. What will the Nigerian lady think of Ghanaians? That one of you is doing something for you. Not so much for himself, because I don't need to be president of Ghana. I don't need to be anything in Ghana. He's shown so much commitment, so much determination for you people there, not for himself. His children are in Australia. And, I was wondering what Uche was thinking. She never told me anything. So those 30 people, I blacklisted them. I told them, no, you're not going to hear anything from me. Some of them came and apologized, and I accepted the apology. Two of them rather got angry, the usual Ghanaian indisciplined way of doing things. And I blocked them forever and ever. I know when a day comes, they'll be running around chasing me and begging, because that day will come. Here we have Uche. a non-Ghanaian, showing so much commitment to the things of Ghana. And we invite Ghanaians, and they will not come. But we persisted. Today, we are having numbers in days. I'm very patient. The day will come when we have numbers in hundreds and thousands and 10,000s. But that's what organic growth is about. It takes one seed for a whole mighty oak to develop and to stay for 1,000 years. So we'll get there. The media penetration is also happening. Almost every day, people send to me things they believe, others are quoting me. That's all right. Plagiarizing is the bare sum of what? Flattery. So I'm okay with that. Today, I was planning not to talk about any topic, just to talk about things in general and what you said before. Hello? Hello? Anyway, so we'll talk from history today. I'm going to talk about the things that we are talking about before, try and summarize them so that those who don't know what we have done in the year get an idea of the things that we've done in the year. Can we please have the first slide? Oh, thanks, an amazing grace. Yes, it's an amazing grace to be where we are after a year. And I thank God for that. I thank Kwame Dompe for that. I thank you for that. I thank Chrissy for that. And I thank Shika for that. The media penetration is happening. Next slide, please. Summary of political Ghana. In the past 1 year, we've spoken about the Electoral Commission, the executive, the legislature, legislature or no legislature, the judiciary, and the Council of State. We've talked about all these under the auspices of Afrimocracy. We have said that we're going to have a new electoral commission. Different in structure, different in composition, and different in focus to the one we have now. The one we have now is made up of 7 members, all of them appointed by a president who may be a candidate. So basically, you have the chairman of or the president of Manchester United choosing the referee, the linesman, and the VAR operators in the match between Manchester United and Liverpool. The president of one team appoints all the match officials. We think that is not proper. And that has been the cause on the instability of Ghana in terms of elections. We're going to have a new system of statutory officers. We're going to have an electoral commission made up of an appeal court judge, IGP, Auditor General, and Ghana's the government statistician. Now they will form the electoral commission. It doesn't matter which party is in power. These people will form the electoral commission and they will advertise the job for the chief electoral officer. And they will interview and appoint a chief electoral officer who will be doing the work that the chairman of the electoral commission is doing today. The chief electoral officer will be answerable to the electoral commission. And the chief electoral officer will be the head of the electoral secretariat, which will be like a ministry So the chief electoral officer will be like a chief director in the ministry, no longer under the influence of a president, independent, no longer under the influence of the president. Then we talk of the executive. We talk of executive of a president, a prime minister, and 25 ministers. And we are saying that the any party that contests the elections that wins 5% of the vote will have one member of cabinet. Okay, so that we're going to have a multi-part cabinet. We want to dissolve winner takes all. We want to dissolve one-party government. We want multi. Now, when we do it that way, then we realize that elections should not be a matter of life and death. Because if you have 25 minutes of cabinet and your party gets 40% of the votes, you have 8 members in the cabinet. Okay, so it's no longer winner takes all. We make space for others to participate in government. Like I always say, democratic representations must reflect must reflect demographic representation. We talk about the legislature. The legislature, we're saying that the current constituency-based election based on first past the post is flawed and is fraudulent. We've advocated proportional representation so that if region A pulls 10% of the national vote, region A will have 10% representation in parliament. We've also set parliament to be a parliament of 100 MPs. We don't need more than 100 MPs in Ghana. And if region A gets 10%, it means region A will have 10 members of parliament. If region B gets 8%, it means region B will have 8 members of parliament. So that there is fair regional representation in parliament. So no region will be underrepresented whilst others are overrepresented. These are just the skeleton of what we've discussed. Then we talk about the judiciary. And we're saying that the judiciary itself, especially at the Supreme Court level, will no longer be selected by the president. The Ghana Judicial Committee, the Ghana Judicial Service, whenever there is a vacant, who advertise it, the eligibility criteria, people would apply. The Judicial Commission will fine-tune the applications and will interview and select maybe 3 people for the position and send these 3 people to the Council of State to be vetted and voted on. So the Council of State eventually will select the new Supreme Court judge or the new Chief Justice. Now, the Council of State itself is not what we have. What you have, 60% is appointed by the president, including the chairman. So basically, you have another advisory committee that's selected and appointed by the president. They have never disagreed with the president. It's a complete waste of time. We are talking of a new Council of State that is going to represent the whole country. Under democracy, we have eco-federalism. And we have 11 states under the eco-federalism state. Each state will have its own parliament and its own premier. The premier and speaker of parliament of each state will be part of the Council of State. So from that level, we have 22. Premier and speaker for 11 states, that's 22. We have the president, the prime minister, and 5 senior ministers, that is 7. We have 6 members of parliament, including the speaker, that is 6 plus 13. We have 3 members of the judiciary, the chief justice, and 2 other justices. Then we have the chief of defense staff, the IGP, director of BNI, governor of Bank of Ghana, and then 5 members represent the National Transition Authority, or what you call now National House of Chiefs. When we put all these numbers together, we have 50 members of the Council of State representing every part of Ghana, and not appointed by the president. So that when we sit there and we talk as one nation. And it's this body that will be vetoing and voting for chief justices, Supreme Court justices, IGPs, all these bodies that the president appoints, all these things will come to the Council of State for appointment. This is the new state we are talking about. We discussed each of these at length in the past. Today is just going through our them that we know what we discussed so far. Next slide, please. Then we have the Center of Economic Ghana. We're talking a lot about the economy of Ghana. And the first one we discussed sometime in December was the GMT economic model. GMT is Gettysburg, Thatcher economic model. And I'll just go through the 7 principles. We spoke about how Gettysburg developed our basic infrastructure in his 10-year program, but he didn't do that with borrowed money. He, first of all, created before he shared. When he became the governor, we were exporting 10,000 metric tons of cocoa. By the time he left in 10 years, we were exporting 250,000 metric tons of cocoa. He increased our cocoa by 25 times. And the money from that, he used to build the Takoradi Harbour, Achimota School, Kolebu, Children's Hospital, Makola, Adwaka Market, Osu Market, Osu Maternity Home. He brought a corn mill to Ghana. Now, these are the things he did in Accra. I don't know the rest of the country. But I know that he also built about 4,000 kilometers of road. Yes. And he extended the railway line from Tafo to Kumasi. So you could move from Accra, Tafo, Kumasi. That's what he did. And he is the first principle of GMT economic man- management model. Create before you share. The second principle, build only what you can sustain. If you do not have money to build something, then I doubt you have money to sustain or maintain it. This is a problem of Ghana. So we say we don't have maintenance culture. It's not we don't have maintenance culture. The money we used to build the thing itself, we borrowed it. So we struggle to find money to maintain it. So for proper management, you create before you share. You build only what you can sustain. You save and invest for the future. And save invest for the future is a feature of Makola women. And I use myself as an example. Makola was demolished in July 1979, and I went to secondary school in September 1979. Although Makola was demolished, then I was staying with my grandmother, who was a Makola woman. Because of his saving and investment, she was able to look after me from starting from one till I finished medical school. Simply because she saved and invested in the future. How many of us, if we lose our job today and our own children are insering from one, we can look after them to university because we don't save and invest in the future. As individuals and as a nation called Ghana, when you are managing something, whatever you do, you have to put something aside for itchiness. That's why we say we grow our nails because of itchiness. It's an economic management too. Saving and investing for the future is an economic management too. And that was exhibited by Mokola. I know that. As a matter of fact. Then, number 4 is we have to live within our means. You cannot decide that you spend, then borrow to go and pay what you borrowed to spend in the first place, and then go and borrow again to pay for your debt whilst you are still spending. And when you hit a brick wall, you come back to people with more taxes. That's not good management principle. That is the Thatcher principle. Live within your means. She said that her economic policies are not from any serious economic theory she's learned, but from the things that herself and millions of others have been raised with. Live within your means. Save for the future. Honest days work and honest days pay. Pay your bills on time and help the police. Number 5 is honest day work and honest days pay. Number 6, pay your bills and help the police or the civil responsibility. Number 7, and in my view, one of the most important principles is the rule of law. If there's no rule of law, every economic activity will grind to a halt. As you were advised recently by your security minister, the security of Ghana is threatened because of a perception of judicial bias. He said the security is threatened. And when national security is threatened, national prosperity is also threatened. So that's the GMT economic model based on 7 principles. Then we talk about wealth creation. Where is the wealth of nations? Primary wealth, secondary wealth, and intangible world. Primary world is natural resources. Secondary world is manufactured or industry, road infrastructure, manufacturing things that we actually make with our hands, natural resources, and the intangible world. Natural resources, 3%, manufactured world, 17%, and intangible world, 80%. Intangible world is made up of two main branches. Rule of law, 57%, and education, 36%. Rule of law, as a percentage of total world, is 45.6%. That is, rule of law alone is more than twice natural wealth and manufactured wealth. Natural wealth and manufactured wealth is 20%. Rule of law is 45.6. It's more than twice. So that tells you the importance of the judiciary. Now, if you are not having rule of law, all your economic policies will collapse in your face. Education is 28.8% of all wealth of nations. Education alone is more than manufactured wealth and natural wealth. The two of them, natural wealth, rule of law, and education is 77.4% of all the wealth of nations. So let's think properly. You're not going to create wealth. You're not going to improve the economy of Ghana without rule of law and appropriate education. Then we talk about energy and national development. I sent why did I send to Uche? An article on China and coal. An article says that China alone produced more than 50% of world coal plants in 2021. While the West is busy shouting climate whatever, China is just going ahead and building. Just a minute, just 1 minute, just 1 minute.
Hi, everybody. I hope you've been paying attention to what Dr. Nee has been saying so far. Just if you have any questions or anything you'd like to comment on, please do so now. And at the end of the presentation, I'll be reading those to Dr. Nee. And it's definitely, Kenneth, I'll be posing your one there because I like the sound of that. So start thinking of any questions you have, any comments you want to make, or anything, any suggestions. Please start thinking of them now to put in the chat box that we have there. Okay? Dr. Nee will be back just shortly. So, whilst he's gone to do a few thingies. Ken says, happy anniversary. Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you. And also, where's the champagne to toast Uche and all the backroom staff? Woo-hoo! I'll be asking that question as well. Don't worry. Thank you. Shika says, Here is to success and many more years for ARM. Amen. 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 And he's back.
Yes, I'm back. Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. Now, everybody who knows me well knows that I'm I'm pro coal. Okay. I don't believe in the climate religion going on. And the principle is this, the fundamental principle is this. For those of us who believe, we believe that everything in the universe was created by one spirit. The same spirit that created the sun is the same spirit that created the coal and that created the petrol, the crude, and, and that created natural gas. And that spirit never makes a mistake. So if I hate coal, then obviously, since the coal did not come into existence by itself, then I hate the one who created coal. I'm telling the one who created coal, you bastard, you made a mistake. And I'm not prepared to say that because I don't believe you made a mistake. And atheist communist China agrees with me. So they are going ahead to produce more than half of all coal plants in the world. And the West is just fooling around, talking about what they don't know and they don't understand. I have said energy is essential for national development. Today, there is doom all over Ghana because our total installed capacity of energy is just about 4,000 megawatts. And we only have probably about 60% being functional at any time T. Australia installed capacity is about 50,000. Not 5,000, not 4,000, 50,000. 80 or so percent is from coal. Now, Australia emission is 1.1% of global emission. Africa emission of 1.3 billion people is just 2.2 of global emission. So Australia alone produces 50% of what all of Africa produces. And yet we are screaming, we are talking about climate change. When we need coal energy more than any in the world to close the poverty gap. I don't care about whatever anybody says. In the West, when I'm president, we will move from 4,000 megawatts of installed energy to 40 megawatts of installed energy in 10 years. Then we will be the power hub of West Africa. South Africa is for Southern Africa. South Africa supplies energy to Mozambique, to Swaziland, to Lesotho, to Botswana, to Namibia, and I think to Southern Zimbabwe as we speak. So that's what we do. And when we do that, we'll generate more money. Okay, when we do that, we generate more money for our economy. And that brings us to debt and deficit. There are two things. Debt refers to money we borrow either internally and or externally for our government to be able to function. Deficit is the difference between the revenue we collect and the money we spend. So that if we spend more than we collect, we run a deficit. Part of the deficit financing for us is to go and borrow. So the more deficit we create, the more we borrow and the higher our debt. So to reduce both, you must create wealth. Okay? To reduce both debt and deficit, you must create wealth. And one of it that I've shown you, energy. We create energy and sell energy in the sub-region, like South Africa is doing. We have wealth. And when we have wealth, we borrow less to finance our budgets. The other one is to cut expenditure. Now, we cut expenditure, and if our revenue collection even remains constant, because we cut expenditure, our deficit will be less, and we will borrow less, and therefore our debt will be less. This is simple economic management. You do not tax people more and spend more and think you are managing properly. Because the day will come when people will say, no, we won't pay anymore. And whatever happens, happens. Debt and deficit. You got to create more wealth through GNT, through wealth creation, through energy and national development. And you have no problem with managing your debt and deficit. Of course, the last one is the CD. It follows from what I just discussed. When you are selling bonds, euro bonds, and you are bringing dollars into your country, your CD may appear to stabilize, but the CD itself has no intrinsic value. So that the moment you are denied access to the Eurobond market, and the dollars are no longer coming, your CD will be exposed. Then your CD will go through what our CD is going through now. The worst performing currency in the world. That is on the supply side. On the demand side is also that. Well, the other side of the supply is this. When your budget deficit is so high, and you're not getting external money to finance it for you, and you decide to print more money, more CD to finance your budget, you must know that you are increasing the supply of CD. You are increasing the supply of CD. And when you increase supply of any commodity, which does not have much demand on it, the value of that commodity drops. So that's one of the bleak future for our city. As long as our expenditure is greater than our revenue, we will not get external support to finance that deficit. We will print more money. And when we print more CDs, the CD value will drop. Now, then we have those who have invested in Ghana because of high interest rate and high yields. But when they see the country is politically unstable, like the minister warned, security minister warned, they believe that the judiciary is biased. They know that the parliament is dysfunctional, and they say that the executive is incompetent. They will start withdrawing their monies. When they start withdrawing their dollars, then artificially it shoots up the demand for dollar. And when the demand for dollar goes higher, related to the supply, the value of the dollar will rise against the cedi. So these are the issues with the cedis. But the most damaging one is speculation. Once it gets on board, the news goes to town that, the country is unstable. The president is incompetent. Parliament is dysfunctional. The nation is biased. It is not a stable place to put your money. It becomes a vicious cycle. That's where we are. And if the right thing is not done, the cedi will hit 10 to the dollar. In the next few months. Government is lying to everybody. Government is taking money from our reserves, taking dollars from our reserves to keep the cedi afloat. It's not sustainable. Okay? It's not sustainable. The cedi will crash again. We don't do the right things. Next slide, please. Summary of social services. We call social Ghana. The issues social in Ghana. Outside, of course, core services. Outside, just two things. An economy of 16 billion US. That's Ghana's GDP, or even less than that the cedi is. Weaker. Such an economy cannot provide good health services for 30 million people. Okay? Nobody should lie to you. If it tells you that 30 million people can have good health services with an economy size of 60 billion, then the person I say that's a lie. Okay. That's a lie. Economy of $60 billion for 30 million people cannot pay anybody to go to school. The subsidy given to nursing students is just crazy. It's not sustainable. Okay? Don't let anybody lie to you. Don't let anybody lie to you. Government cannot provide good health services for 30 million people if its base economy is 60 billion. And it cannot give money to people to go to school. If I'm the president tomorrow, I'll cancel the allowance. It's not sustainable. There's no need to lie to anybody. It's not sustainable, and it's primitive to pay somebody to go to school when there are people who cannot go to school at all. All right? It doesn't make sense. Okay? Forget about the politics of NDC and NPP. They don't know what they're about. GDP of 60 billion cannot do that. The next one is education. GDP of 60 billion cannot sustain free boarding SH. Full stop. No further argument. It's just foolish talk. Okay? GDP of 60 billion cannot pay teacher training, whatever. What do you call them? Teacher training students to go to school. Doesn't happen anywhere in the world. Not even Australia, 2 trillion economy for 25 million people who even think for a moment that they have to pay somebody to go to school and train as a teacher or as a nurse. or to take people and put them in boarding school and feed them. It has happened anyway. I'm saying not even a population of 25 million with a GDP of 2 trillion. Crazy. Okay? Crazy. It doesn't work. We talk about population. And we said that all things being equal, if two families earn the same amount of income, but one family has 2 children to look after, and the other family has 10 children to look after, then it's clear. Now, all things being equal, the family with 2 children will have a higher standard of living than the one with 10 children. That means the mouth that a nation feeds is important to the standard of living of the people. Family control will be very front and center of economic management and social integration and social cohesion. Because when you have so much poverty in the population, there is always tension. We've got to look at population control, and we'll do that. We have a minister of population and resource allocation. Very important. Let's talk about poverty elimination. I've talked about it along the way, but the important thing is here. Wealth is accumulated if income exceeds expenditure. It's not magic. If you earn 110 cities and you spend 100 cities, you accumulate 10 cities every time you spend. And that becomes your wealth. And you can reinvest your wealth to get more wealth. And that's how it goes for the individual. So any policy that does not target wealth creation by the individual is failed. It's a failure before it starts. Poverty becomes a reality when expenditure exceeds income. It's not magic. So to eliminate poverty, government has a role to play. Either government put in place structures that will allow individuals to do business to earn more in order that their income exceeds their expenditure, or government to look at the major priorities of expenditure: water, electricity, and stuff like that, and find ways of mean testing and reducing the cost for those who cannot really afford, so that their income at least will match their expenditure. It's a lot of work, but it can be done because I talked to you about the set code. Earlier in the year, I can use the code or the postcode of areas to determine their wealth and see how you can factor out that one into cost of service production or provision. So we can do that. The key to poverty elimination is to make sure that income of citizens exceed their expenditure. I talk about this a lot earlier on. Then the next thing is about marriage. The next major social thing is about marriage. Some people see this controversial. I don't. Marriage is a voluntary union between a man and a woman, to the exclusion between an adult male and adult female, to the exclusion of all others. Case closed. This is more a Ghanaian tradition, or this is what I was taught as a Ghanaian growing up, and it's in accordance with my faith in Christ. A man and a woman. Case closed. Others, for sure, have the option of saying that I'm a man, but I love another man. Well, I cannot tell anybody who to love, but society will define what marriage is. I will not hesitate to call for a referendum if this becomes a major issue. Society will speak as they spoke in other places. Okay? As far as I'm concerned, I don't think people's choices should be punished. But society has got a right to immunize itself against things they do not consider helpful for them. So if society believes that only a man can marry a woman can only marry a man, then that's the case. If people want to know how much of society believes that, you can go for a referendum. But I personally don't think that choice of people should be penalized. But those choices cannot be promoted in the society. And those choices must remain private. I don't believe those choices should be penalized. They must remain private and they must not be promoted. Full stop. The more vexing question is polygamy. What do I think about polygamy? Let me state clear here that I believe that the perfect will of God is monogamy. But I also believe that the permissive will of God is polygamy. Okay. The permissive will of God. I mean, we cannot pretend to be liars. Okay. In my Ghanaian tradition, polygamy is accepted. But for polygamy, I will not be sitting here because my paternal grandfather was polygamous. My paternal grandmother was a second wife. Okay, so it's as simple as that. I believe my grandmother is in heaven now, though she was a second wife. Because it's not written anywhere that you cannot be a second wife. I don't know where it's written that it is a sin to be a second wife or to have a second wife, or a third, or a fourth wife, or a fifth wife. Obviously, that line of action is not my preference. Primarily, I'm a monogamist. But I cannot make a sin that which God in society have not made a sin. If today I decide that I want a second wife, I'll go and tell my wife that I want to. I don't know what she will say. I really don't know what she will say. She will probably ask me some questions. And I'll answer her as faithfully as possible. Will she agree? I don't know. But if I want a second wife, I'll tell her I want a second wife. If she doesn't agree, I'll tell her I also want a second. I'm informing her I'm not obtaining her permission. Then somebody will ask a question. What if she also says she wants a second husband? I say, well, she should come and tell me. If she tells me she wants a second husband, I'll tell her that. She should tell me where that is acceptable in our society or in our Bible. I'm not talking in a vacuum. I'm talking about society and its norms. If you say no, it's not acceptable in our society. It's not acceptable in the Bible. It's not in the Bible. But that's what she wants to do. I said, no, that's no problem. If that's what you want to do, you can do it. But I won't be your husband. Then you say, oh, yeah, but you said you want a second wife. I said, yeah. So if you don't want it, then you don't have to be my wife. It's as simple as that. I don't have time to waste on this. So as far as I'm concerned, polygamy can never be a crime. There's no basis of that. Anywhere there can be a crime. More importantly, there are two main types of marriages in Ghana. Okay, we're marrying before the Christians came and before the Muslims came, and the others came. Under an ARM-inspired government, wherever you marry, you can go and marry in the Vatican or in Mecca or in Jerusalem or in Sri Lanka or whatever you want. But when you want a certificate of marriage in Ghana, you'll be given the same certificate. Marriage certificate, Republic of Ghana. That's it. We're not going to have ordinance or Muslim, whatever you call it. No. Only one certificate for every Ghanaian. And it's not the state marrying you, the state will only register marriages. So wherever you go and have your wedding or your marriage or whatever, you can do it wherever you want. The certificate will be the same. One certificate by the Republic of Ghana. No more. Abortion. Some people see it, I don't see it as controversial. There should be limited place for abortion or actually termination of pregnancy. Termination of pregnancy cannot be a family planning method, full stop. It cannot be a family planning method. There should be serious indication for abortion. I do not see abortion as part of anybody's rights. It's termination of pregnancy. I do not think anybody can say she has a right to terminate pregnancy which is meant to lead to the birth of a child. But before we can get to that point, there has to be enormous amount of education. Enormous amount of education. And availability of things that will make unwanted pregnancies very, very limited. We cannot make a rule when we have been provided adequate way of escape. So for me, it's a second level thing. Provide everything that people will need to know not to have unwanted pregnancies and then bring in the law when everything is available. This is the way. Or these are some of the things we discuss in course of the year. I think there's one more slide, right? Oh, yeah. Okay. Elections 2024. The figures. We spoke about the figures before. Before 2020 elections, the University of Ghana did a study. In the study, 56% of Ghanaians were solidly behind the two parties. That means 44% were not solidly behind them. In fact, of the 44%, 10% say, yeah, they are loosely for one or the other of the two. But 34% clearly, not for the two of them. So we have a situation where a third of the population are solidly against the two parties. And 56% are solidly behind the two parties. So 34% is for grabs, and then you have 10%. That's borderline. Though that's also for grabs. So from the figures alone, a carefully planned and executed campaign can get 44% in the back. These were figures before 2020 elections. And I know the number of people who have become disenchanted with the two parties after the elections. Looking at the figures, I can say that solidly 50% are not behind the two parties. So those are the figures. The method, I've told you already. Franchise politics. That's our method. And the message, very simple. Like Ronald Reagan said, I think in 1964, he said people think Americans are confused about capitalism and socialism. No, that's not true. The challenge facing Americans then was either voting up or voting down. And that's the message. 2024 is up. Voting up or voting down. Voting down is voting for the two parties that have created a mess in which you are. When you vote down, you sink deeper into the bottomless pit. When you vote up, you are taking yourself out of the bottomless pit. And I represent voting up. Now, let me make this point very quickly. is about the new business, the old. The old is NDC and PP. The new is the ARM inspired movement. The next point is effort. The effort is effort that I can put into it. And trust me, I'll do my very best. But at the end of the day, it's Ghana who vote up or down. And they're going to live with the consequences of their voting. It's not by force. Some are telling, oh, so when are you coming to Ghana to start? I'm not coming to Ghana to start anything this year or even next year. Okay? If Ghanaians believe that they are in trouble, then they mustn't wait for me to come and bribe them with money that I'll work for myself and my family before they throw away NDC and NPP. Otherwise, they can't be NDC and NPP. I live in Australia, and I'm saying this very clearly. I'm not begging anybody for a job. I believe I can solve your problem for you. So voting for me is actually voting for yourself. So if you want to come and bribe you before you vote for yourself, then you have a problem. You have to understand that if your mama wants to stand, he has money that he got from you. There's not a single cent in your mama's account that did not come from Ghana. There's not a single cent in my account that comes from Ghana. So if mama is bribing you, I'm not going to bribe you. He's bribing you for you to reward him for being an Akwado, your president. You think about it. There's not a cent in Baomia's account that's not from Ghana. And there's not a cent in my account that comes from Ghana. So if Baomia is going to spend your own money to bribe you, then expect you to do that. Because I'm not looking for a job. It must be very clear. I live in Australia. We are voting in 3 weeks' time. 3 weeks ago, the Prime Minister went to a Governor General and asked that elections be held on 21st of May. Governor General agreed, and government went into caretaker mode. Okay? Government went into caretaker mode. Parliament was dissolved. From now, 21st of May, there's no new government policy, there's no new government transaction. Government is in caretaker mode. Now, Australia is 32 times the size of Ghana. Australia is Ghana, though, West Africa. Their campaign period is 6 weeks. I'm not going to stop working here to come and sit in Ghana for 60 weeks or whatever for a campaign in a country the size of my state of Victoria. As I'm sitting down here, I don't believe that I need more than 3 months to campaign in Ghana. If Ghanaians don't want it, they can vote for whoever they want to vote. I'll come and say it at some point. It's very simple. Okay, I don't want to get anybody heart attack or anything, but that's what I intend to do. I'm not stopping my work for more than 3 months to come and campaign in Ghana. Because Ghanaians must know that they are in deep whatever. And they must fight for the person they believe can deliver them, not the other way around. The efforts. I'll put in the maximum effort that I can. As a matter of fact, I've done that more than anybody in my generation. I've published 7 books all on Ghana. In the way forward, and more books are coming. I've written more than 3,000 articles, more than 5 million words in this journey. So, as I sit here, I believe I've done enough already. I'll keep doing what I'm doing, but not stopping working here to come and sit in Ghana to throw away money like those who have stolen from you are do or will do. I'm not going to do that. The message is simple and straightforward. Vote up for me or vote down for the Siamese twins. And the next point is the grace. I believe the grace is sufficient for me to do what I believe I have to do. The grace is the amplifier, is the multiplier of my efforts. And if the grace combines with the efforts, and then number 6, the victory is assured. In the last year, I spoke at the message, bit here, bit there. I've seen enough grace. Then I come to this point a year on. So I'm very confident that moving forward, the grace will open up more ways. That message will be more effective. That effort will be maximized. And that victory will be ours. Now, let me say this. Some will want to hear it, others may not want to hear it. I believe election 2024 will happen. But I don't believe NDC and NPP will be part of that election. I don't believe that. I believe that a new electoral commission will swallow that election. How that will happen, I don't know. But what I know is that the present situation we are in is not sustainable. The present situation we are in is not sustainable. We have the elections. I don't see NDC, NPP there. I see other genuine and true Ghanaians fighting with ideas on how to rescue, resuscitate, and restore Ghana. For me, there is hope for the future as long as Ghanaians know what it takes to achieve that. Ciao. Omanyaba.
Okay, Dr. Nee. Thank you for that. Bit of a trip down memory lane there. Are you able to raise your volume at all?
I don't know how to do it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Just someone asked if you can raise your volume. Never mind. Okay. So there haven't really been many questions as such. We're just like, I'll just read what we have. We covered a couple of these whilst she went away that time. Okay. So Kenneth says hi and thank you for being here for. Oh, sorry. For streaming. He says happy anniversary. And then he also says, where's the champagne to toast Uche and all the backroom staff?
Uche is actively non-alcoholic.
Well, I'll make an exception on this occasion for a bit shot glass of champagne.
Okay, all right. I'll organize that in the next 24 hours.
Nice. Thank you, Kenneth. See? Okay, Sophia also says happy anniversary.
Yeah. Thank you, Sophie.
She says here's to the success and many more years for ARM.
Thank you.
Okay. And she
Thank
also
you.
says this year has been filled with many insightful presentations. I like the one on education and on the history of Ghana's political history and why we are where we are. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. And Sophia has been uh, a very staunch um, supporter of ARM from the day she met me on Facebook, sometime in 2014. She has remained ever loyal. I mean, sometimes I sack her and she comes back. Uh, but yeah, she's remained a very loyal, and I have to say that she's been a very loyal ARM supporter.
That's excellent.
She's different from Uche.
In what way?
You see, Uche is special. You know, I know she doesn't agree with everything I say, but when she doesn't agree, she has never ever told me she doesn't agree before. She'll come in a questioning form, and I know how she thinks. You know, I know how she thinks. So when she asks me a question, I know, yeah, she doesn't actually agree with this one. She still has problem with my ideas about climate change, and I'm sure she still has some issues about my ideas about this gender, whatever going on.
Who,
And
Sophia or me?
you.
Yeah, I don't, you know.
Yeah. No, so far will come straight at me and say she doesn't agree.
Mhm.
If she doesn't talk well, I sack her. But you never, if you disagree, you come and you ask more questions. Sometimes, sometimes you are satisfied. Other times you are not exactly, but you let it rest. You know, they will move on, and that's why you are very special. Um, that's what works because if she doesn't agree with me all the time, and she's learned how to manage disagreement with me because she's realized that I don't take positions lightly.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't come to conclusions very easily.
that's true.
So if I'm insisting, she will go round. Now she's learned that okay, this one may have a problem. May have a reason. And sometimes, whilst we're arguing, something happens on the international stage. He said, oh, I say, yeah, I told you.
Hmm. Yeah,
If
I
sometimes
agree. I think sometimes it's because like that's what I've learned. I've said this to a few people. Even if I don't agree, I've seen that you have a reason for why you think the way you think. It isn't just like emotion, which is
no,
where with people typically like you, and even I've been like that. Like you've been in disagreement, and then you say something, and someone say, "Well, where did you get that from? What's the basis for your belief?" Sometimes, even for myself, it's just been an emotional position, having a well thought through idea.
yeah,
But when I've asked you questions, you've always been able to explain why you think the way you think, where it has come from, which is
yeah,
different. Even if I still think, okay, well, maybe that's not my position. I'm. At least you have a reason for why you believe what you believe.
yeah,
Basically,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Okay, right.
yeah,
So I saw a message from Collins. I couldn't read that.
yeah. Lovely. He says, "Thank God for how far He's brought Dr. Nia and ARM.
Yes,
ARM bridging the gap."
I'll tell you the story of the. Thank you very much. I'll tell you the story of the bridging the gap.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying it last weekend. A friend of mine went to visit my mother in Osu, Celestial Galinosa, in Osu Ashanti. And then when she came back, she said, oh, me, I think you have to move your mother from there. Buy an estate or whatever for your mother. Okay, I knew where she was coming. I told her that it's not going to work. She's not going to live there. she would not leave the house where you found her
Mm-hmm.
because she believes Eshe, she is not the head of family. That's the foundation house.
Mm-hmm.
She's not going to live there. And I told her that this is where I grew up. This is where I started my life. When I went to Ghana recently, some some guys I grew up with, they heard that I come to visit my mother, so they came there. When they came there, my auntie was there. When my auntie saw them, she realized that you just come to ask for money.
Mm-hmm.
So she threw her own 50 cedis, which is about 5 pounds, for the 4 people to take and share. She started screaming at them, go, 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 go. I was sitting there. Now, these were boys I played with. Mates, played with in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So I told her that, okay, you add another 50. In fact, one of the boys said, oh, Doc or Benathan. Doc is not like that with us.
Mm-hmm.
So my aunt then, I said, you. So she added another 50. They picked the 50 cedis. That is 10 pounds in all. And they thanked me and left. And my heart was broken.
Mm-hmm.
These were friends. Now, they can't even come and shake my hand because my aunt would not allow them to.
Mm-hmm.
In the same place we grew up. But you see, I played back all these emotions. The one before my mother is the second of 6 children.
Mm-hmm.
My aunt, my older aunt, she married their cousin. Her husband was their cousin. Just as my father was my mother's cousin. Anyway, that's a different story. And the husband was a technical director of animal research. Then that was in Achimota, 10 kilometers from Osu. Now, they live in a European bungalow. And then whenever school went on holidays, my grandmother would take me to my aunt's place. Now, I'm telling people this story. And it was different, water closet, shower, bath, just like a typical European house, bungalow. And then there was a golf club next. We went and watched films at the golf club. All these Europeans coming there to play golf and. I mean, I'm talking of within 10 kilometers, we had proper Ghana and European Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
My own cousins were in Europe in Ghana. And I was in Ghana in Ghana. In the same generation, there was a wide gap.
Mm-hmm.
Wide gap. When I went to them and I came back, now I'll come and tell my primary school mates stories about Achimota Golf Club. Even the church we used to go was different. And the way the place was and how we used to drink fresh milk from animal research. Fresh, yeah, fresh milk. We never did, like we are in London or in Australia. In Ghana, the rest of Ghana, they drink evaporated milk.
Mm-hmm.
So when I founded ARM and I was looking for a motto, that's why I picked the motto, Bridging the Gap. This is a movement that will make sure that there is no gap between Achimota and Osu, between Osu and La, between Osu and Tamale, between whatever. We want to create a fair state. The issue of bringing the gap as a motto did not come in a dream.
Mm-hmm.
It came from my lived experience. In Accra, 10 11 kilometers, about 2 different scenarios. Children from the same grandmother and grandfather live in different parts of Ghana. All in Accra. I was just lucky. Grace found me. And I'm talking So when I say bridging the gap, it's not a slogan.
Mhm.
It's lived experience. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. There's a couple more comments here. The Dr. has very high levels of IS, emotional quotient, and social quotient, plus adversity quotient. So he's uniquely able to read situations and assess them on a deep level. Keeps me on my toes. Then she added, oh, she means so not IS, she means IQ, not IS. Where I have my own strong positions on some issues, then we have to agree to disagree. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm the same.
yeah, it happens. It happens. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, that's it, Dr. Nee. That's it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for those of you who gave us anniversary greetings. Much appreciated.
Oh
And
yeah, no, you know what? She can send me a message here. I just said polygamous niamu.
I was wondering what she would think about that actually when you give the explanation. I was like, oh, what not Shika's thoughts are.
Oh, she knows my position 100%.
Uh-huh.
Nothing, not, you see my hands, nothing to hide.
Yeah.
If I want to marry a second woman, I'll go and tell her.
Mhm.
It's as simple as
Interesting.
that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being with us on this 1 year that we've been broadcasting live every Saturday. Thank you so much. And as always, please let your friends, family know, let them know about Dr. Nee, what his ambitions are, what he's doing, introduce them to some of his previous broadcasts, introduce them to his website where he talk right in depth about certain issues that would be of pertinence to Ghana. Share the word, spread the word, share the videos with people that you know, and let's keep having these conversations. As always, we'll see you next week, Saturday, same time, same place. Have a great day. Take care,
Thank you
everybody.
very much, Uche. And happy birthday. 1 year. You are now 1 year old.
Yeah, happy birthday to us.
Yeah.
Take care.